weekly update. Hope you're doing well. Quite a few things to get through this week. It feels like quite a busy week. So let's start at the beginning and see where we go to. Right, first of all, blog post that went out this morning. All about some new functionality in the Microsoft Graph APIs for Teams developers. You can now delete messages in chats. So you've been able to do this in the UI for a while in the Teams client. You've been able to delete a message once you've sent it and then undelete it again. So it's not really a hard delete, it's a soft delete. That functionality is also now in the APIs. So it's been a kind of a bit of a gap in the APIs for a while. But it doesn't matter where the chat is. It can be one-to-one, it can be group chat, it could be channel chat. You could be replying to a message. Doesn't matter. You can now go and find that message. If you can find it in the Graph API, if you can get a handle to the message ID, you can delete it. There's a couple of, it's a slightly odd way it's been implemented to my mind. It's a post message to a /soft delete call. So it's not using the delete method, maybe because it's a soft delete, I don't know. But just be aware of it. And then there's a corresponding undelete as well. So you can undelete deleted messages. So that's nice because that mirrors the functionality that has been in the client for a little while. Just user delegated permissions right now, not application permissions, but I've got all the details in the blog post so you can go and check that out if that sounds interesting. And it's also just on the beta endpoint right now. So that's not in the 1.0, not for production use. But if you have workloads that need this, you can start writing it, you can start planning for it because it's there right now and it's there in the beta endpoint, so you can start building your applications against it. Okay, that's exciting. Other things that are exciting is another blog post that I did this morning about a speaking opportunity that I have accepted very enthusiastically. I'm going to be speaking at the European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure conference. It's in right at the back of November, starts at the beginning of December, so a little way out, and it's in Copenhagen. And I think it's going to be a really interesting conference. I'm very excited for the range of speakers and the quality of the speakers, and I don't really know why they chose me, but if I tell you who the headline keynoters are, so Jeff Teeper, Scott Hanselman, Caruana Gatimu, Vesa Juvonen, like real hard hitters of the Microsoft tech ecosystem around Microsoft 365, around 365 development, around Teams. So having all four of them deliver the keynotes, I think that's going to be amazing. So yeah, very, very excited for the keynotes and for all of the other sessions to come as well. I'm going to be talking about building really good B2C, so business to consumer experiences on Microsoft Teams. And there've been a few changes that have happened this year, so I need to go and actually update. I've given this talk before, and it's a nice talk. I like doing it because it's very demo heavy, and you can actually build something in the session. People can walk away seeing something that's been built from nothing, so I quite like it for that. But there've been some big changes actually to some of the tech around that, so I think there's going to be probably maybe two different ways of doing the same thing. So I'm quite excited to revamp that talk and put that together and see how that comes together. Whether or not I'm going to have time, I may have to cut some things out because the one I gave last year is kind of pretty full on with the time, getting it into the time because there's so much to demo and show. So I'm adding more in, some stuff's going to have to come out, but we'll see. Anyway, so that's happening. So you can go and get your tickets for that now. There is early bird pricing, and I did want to tell you, so the organisers for ESPC22, they've given me a discount code, so I can give it to you, and then you can use it for tickets, and you can get 10% off, which is awesome. And this is a great discount code. So this discount code is ESPC22 Teams Dev. So like a specific Teams development discount code. That is amazing. So ESPC22, numbers 22, Teams Dev. I'll put all of that. There's a blog post where the discount code is written down so you can copy and paste it. But registration's open, early bird pricing is available now. That's going to be an amazing conference. Just go and check out the list of speakers. And if my session sounds interesting, I hope to see you in Copenhagen right at the back end of November, beginning of December. Should be fun. All right, other things. So, new blog post by Tech Peanuts, who I know because he does some really cool stuff around app templates and around Company Communicator. But this is something a bit different. This is kind of genius actually. So his specific problem he was trying to solve was having, he wants to send out a large number of proactive Teams messages. But if you try and do that with Microsoft Graph, you get throttled. If you try and do it through Power Automate, you get throttled. Both of those have relatively low limits. The bot framework API has a much higher limit, but he wanted to keep this as a kind of low code, no code solution. So he's got a clever way of doing it around creating an application and then using logic apps to call the bot framework APIs to proactively send those messages. So that's kind of genius. I like it. I wouldn't have thought to do it like that. I would have thought to use the bot framework API to send the messages, but I would not have thought of using logic apps to make it like a low code experience. But that's probably my heritage as a kind of developer. I just kind of create an application and do it in sort of pro code, if you like. But if you're looking for a low code solution, this is a really nice one, and I really like how it's been put together. So in his blog post, he's got all the details, all the steps, so you can go and check that out. Yeah, good times. It's a good blog post. Okay. There's big news, I guess, from this week around Microsoft Teams Connect and shared channels moving into general availability. I wasn't going to cover it at all, really, apart from a little section in it that I wanted to just call out for a bit. I think it's a little bit confusing, but that might just be my understanding of it. So in the Tech Community blog post, which announces the GA of shared channels, one of the things that get called out specifically are the support for app developers to choose what happens with their apps for shared channels. So I've talked about this previously when shared channels were in preview. Those apps that you've got in channels, so in meeting apps and other kind of channel apps, they do work in shared channels, and you do have indicators to know whether or not your app is operating in a shared channel, but there may be things that don't work right for your app because your app was built before you knew anything about shared channels, right? And so there wasn't previously a way to say, like, this app doesn't work very well on shared channels, please don't make it show up in shared channels. There is now a way that's called out in the Tech Community blog post that developers can now choose for, via the app manifest. They can signal in the manifest that their app is or isn't allowed. They can opt in basically to shared channel use. Now this coincides with the other link I want to give you for today, which is an item on the roadmap around doing this. So I think possibly there's a little bit of sync mismatch between the kind of the blog post and the reality, or the roadmap is slightly out of date. I'm not quite sure which. I haven't really had time, unfortunately, to go and check out the manifest yet and see whether it actually does support this kind of update thing. I'm going to try and do it now, actually, just to see if I can see. I don't think I'm going to be able to tell because I don't think they put any kind of like what's new in the manifest. So yeah, like I won't do it now because that won't be much fun watching me go through the manifest line by line trying to find what I'm looking for. All I want to call out is that the roadmap item is still in development. So there's a roadmap item for being able to opt in and out of shared channels. That is still in development. However, there's a blog post saying that it's kind of available. So I think probably it's really soon. It's coming. If it doesn't work for you right now, maybe wait a couple of weeks and try it again. Check out the manifest updates to see when that comes in the schema. As soon as I see it, I'll do a blog post about it. If it's not there already, if it is there already, ignore me. Just carry on as you were. So yeah, should all be good. Finally, before I quickly run out of time, there is a new walkthrough in the Microsoft Docs for building activity feed notifications. So this is stuff I get asked about quite a bit. And how do you light up the activity feed in Microsoft Teams? How can apps put things into the activity feed? There's a really nice walkthrough now. It doesn't kind of cover the code, but it covers everything else about the code. So you get some code to use as a sample, but it covers all the setup, what you have to do with the apps and everything. So if you want to go and do that and test it out and just see what that experience is like of sending, messages into the activity feed, you can go and do that. So I'll put a link to that in the notes as well. Wow, that's a lot of things this week, wasn't it? Have a great week this week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will talk to you again next time.